On a pitch-black night, two friends, Jack and Ethan, were driving down a remote road that cut through a dense forest. The atmosphere was eerily silent, with only the tired hum of the car's engine filling the air. Suddenly, the car stopped without warning, shrouded in the surrounding darkness. Jack tried to start it several times, but it was clear the car had broken down completely. As the night grew even darker, the moon slowly disappeared behind thick clouds. Jack looked at Ethan with concern and said, "We'll have to stay here until morning." But Ethan was uneasy. Everything around him sent chills down his spine. After a few minutes, they both heard a strange sound coming from within the trees, like something was slithering quietly or heavy breaths coming from an unknown source. It wasn't clear what was happening, but the sound was drawing closer. Suddenly, a terrifying creature appeared before them, its eyes glowing like embers, with a face covered in scars and thick, wiry hair, as if shaped by forces from another world. They had only one option: to run. The two friends started sprinting deeper into the forest, heedless of the bushes or trees blocking their path. Their hearts were pounding, their minds focused solely on survival. After covering a long distance, they stopped to catch their breath. Ethan looked at Jack and said, "I think we're safe. It seems the monster didn't follow us." But only moments passed before they heard an unsettling noise, a heavy breathing sound growing closer again. Before they could turn to see what was happening, the creature grabbed Ethan and quickly dragged him into the shadows of the forest, leaving Jack standing there, stunned, unable to move from the shock. Ethan disappeared into the darkness, with only the echo of his scream lingering among the trees, while Jack was left alone, wondering if his fate would be any different, or if he would meet the same end. When Jack realized he had lost his childhood friend Ethan, a wave of sadness and despair filled his heart. He tried desperately to escape the forest, crying in anguish as memories of their childhood moments and days together flooded his mind. Those laughs they shared were now just painful memories. As he ran through the darkness, Jack stumbled and fell down a steep mountainside, breaking his arm in the process. He screamed in pain, but knew he had to get up and keep going. Staying in this terrifying place meant facing a worse fate. With difficulty, Jack struggled to stand, tears still streaming down his face. The pain in his arm was nothing compared to the ache in his heart. In those moments, he thought of his family waiting for him and of his lost friend Ethan. He silently pleaded to reach safety. Slowly, he made his way through the dark forest, the pain growing with each step, yet he didn't stop. After a long and exhausting journey, he finally saw the distant light of a road. With great difficulty, Jack reached the roadside, where cars occasionally passed. Summoning his remaining strength, he raised his uninjured arm, hoping to catch the attention of a passing car. One car stopped, and the driver immediately got out to help upon seeing Jack's exhausted and injured state. They quickly took him to the hospital, where he received the necessary care. As he lay on the hospital bed, Jack felt a sense of inner peace, mixed with deep sorrow. He had survived, but he had lost his dearest friend on that fateful night, leaving an unforgettable memory etched into his heart. After the forest incident, Jack couldn't forget his friend Ethan. Losing him was more than just the loss of a friend. It was the loss of the person who had once saved his life. Several years earlier, Jack had been on the verge of death due to a severe illness, but Ethan was the only one who had donated one of his organs, disregarding all risks to keep Jack alive. That strong bond between them left Jack unable to move on, and memories of Ethan haunted him every moment. Jack sank into a deep depression, feeling that his life no longer held any meaning. He decided to end his life in the same way he had lost his friend, hoping to rid himself of the pain tearing at his heart. He quietly said goodbye to his family to avoid raising suspicion, then took his motorcycle and rode at high speed toward that cursed forest, overwhelmed by sounds of his own cries and screams. Standing in the dark forest, he shouted in agony, "I want to die. I want to join you, Ethan." In that moment, the hideous beast reappeared from among the trees. It was a massive creature covered in coarse hair, with sharp fangs like daggers, and eyes glowing a bloody hue that reflected a thirst for blood. Its roar shattered the silence, sounding like a monster from the depths of hell, and its unsettling movements made Jack's body tremble with fear. The instant he saw it, Jack felt a survival instinct pushing him to flee, despite his desire for death. He ran with all his strength, but the beast was faster and pounced on him. Before Jack realized what was happening, he felt the beast's fangs sinking into his shoulder, and he lost consciousness completely. When Jack regained consciousness, he found himself bound in a strange village. The place looked ancient, with simple wooden and mud houses, and people dressed in primitive clothing, their faces filled with sternness and mystery. Jack then realized that the beast did not eat humans as he had thought. Instead, it was transporting them to a mysterious tribe that lived isolated from the world. In the center of the village, he spotted a familiar face among the crowd. It was Ethan, still alive. Jack couldn't believe his eyes and approached his friend with unsteady steps. Ethan was not dead. He was a captive just like Jack. He told Jack that this tribe used the beast as a powerful guardian to capture anyone daring enough to enter their territory, making them slaves for hard labor. Jack struggled to grasp the situation, while his heart raced with joy at seeing his friend, but also with dread at this terrifying fate. It seemed they had fallen into a prison with no escape, but one thought occupied Jack's mind. He would not leave his friend behind again, and he would fight with all his strength, even if it cost him his life, to free himself and Ethan from the grasp of this savage tribe. After several days, Jack and Ethan began to study their surroundings and figure out how to escape the grip of the tribe. They discovered that the beast, which the tribe relied on for guarding, only appeared at night, acting as a sentinel to prevent anyone from fleeing. This information ignited a glimmer of hope within them and awakened their desire to escape. After planning for several days, the two friends devised a plan to escape during the night, taking advantage of the tribe's potential chaos. They decided to set fire to the straw-built houses and the dried crops stored on the outskirts of the village, aiming for the fire to spread quickly, forcing the tribe's inhabitants to focus on extinguishing it. On one of the nights, Jack and Ethan gathered everything they needed, and at a precise moment, they ignited several huts and crops. The flames erupted rapidly, chaos engulfing the area as the villagers rushed to control the fire, which spread quickly, consuming everything in its path. While the tribe members were busy extinguishing the flames, Jack and Ethan found their precious opportunity. They moved quietly and swiftly out of sight, heading toward the edge of the forest. They continued running without stopping until they had exited the tribe's territory and were heading toward the main road. As the first light of morning dawned, they had successfully escaped the terrifying forest, leaving behind a nightmare that would remain etched in their memories forever.